The extraordinary UConn Huskies play for back-to-back national championships and back-to-back undefeated seasons, something never before accomplished in women's college basketball and only accomplished by John Wooden's UCLA Bruins, and standing directly in their path, the last team to beat Connecticut 2 years ago, the Stanford Cardinals, with one last opportunity to change history. A great pleasure to be with you here in San Antonio. It's the last college basketball game of the season. I'm Dave O'Brien alongside Doris Burke. And Doris, incredible to think about it, 77 consecutive wins for the UConn Huskies. They have not lost a game in 104 weeks. We've been asking the question all season long, can anybody beat Connecticut?
The margin by which Connecticut has taken apart high-caliber competition leads everybody to believe that this national championship is preordained. Stanford believes otherwise, and the one thing you absolutely must do against Connecticut is execute and make open shots. Stanford's specialty, we'll see.
All right, a look at our final Star Watch of the season and two players who are just spectacular in the national semifinal.
Nneka Ogwumike has emerged as one of the best players in the nation. She is an explosive athlete with a very quick first step and a relentless rebounder whose 38 points and 16 rebounds has led her team to the brink of a national title. And Maya Moore is simply the best player in women's college basketball. Teams have often spent their best defender and multiple defenders, and every time her scoring runs have taken away the hopes of their opponents.
Maya Moore trying to lead the Huskies to their 7th national championship under Gino Auriemma. The tip-off for the title is just moments away. We'll have the starting lineups coming up next. Number 1 against number 2 next on ESPN. We welcome you back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. A lovely night here in San Antonio, Texas. The national championship game coming down to the top 2 teams in the game. A 77-game winning streak for Connecticut, taking on Stanford for the second time. Now, since that win streak got underway, their last loss, Barack Obama has been elected president. Twitter has added 74 million users. ABC has aired 5 different seasons of the popular Dancing with the Stars. The Summer and Winter Olympics have both been held. And Lane Kiffin has been busy coaching 3 different teams.
To honor America and those who support our freedom at home and abroad, please join Boston College women's basketball student athlete and recording artist Ayla Brown in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rugged red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Just moments away from the opening tip, we flash back to December 23rd, when Stanford traveled to UConn to take on the Huskies. Stanford went on a 15-2 run in the first half. Ogwumike was 16, Caleb Peterson added 12, but the Huskies outscored the Cardinal 42-28 in the second half. Maya Moore leading the charge with 23 points. She was in foul trouble in the first half. Connecticut pulled away to win 80-68. Over the last 58 games for the Cardinal now, the only 2 losses have come against Connecticut. Otherwise, we might be talking about Stanford with a very, very long winning streak here. Time now for our Capital One starting lineups as we go back to public address announcer Agnes Green.
Let's meet the starting lineups for tonight's game. At guard for Stanford, a 6-foot junior majoring in communication from Brea, California, number 23, Jeanette Poland. At guard for Connecticut, a 5'10 sophomore majoring in sports management from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, number 5, Caroline Doty. At guard for Stanford, a 5'10 senior majoring in communication from Queens, New York, number 21, Rosalind Gol-Onwude. At guard for Connecticut, a 5'10 sophomore majoring in sociology from Lakeland, Florida, number 3, Tiffany Hayes. At forward for Stanford, a 6'4 junior with a communication and psychology major from Fountain Hills, Arizona, number 14, Kayla Peterson. At guard for Connecticut, a 5'10 senior majoring in urban studies and political science from St. Stephen, South Carolina, number 23, Kalena Green. At forward for Stanford, a 6'2 sophomore with an undeclared major from Cypress, Texas, number 30, Nemkadi Ogwumake. At forward for Connecticut, a 6-foot junior majoring in individualized studies from Lawrenceville, Georgia, number 23, Maya Moore. At center for Stanford, a 6'4 senior majoring in psychology from Pleasant Hill, California, number 2, Jane Appel. At center for Connecticut, a 6'4 senior majoring in psychology from Jamaica, New York, number 31, Tina Charles. And introducing the head coaches. For Stanford, Tara Vanderveer. And for Connecticut, Gino Auriemma.
Agnes, thank you very much. Now let's bring in our sideline reporters. Holly Rowe covering Stanford and Rebecca Lobo with UConn. Rebecca?
Well, Dave, tonight UConn has a chance to do what no other women's team has ever done. If they win, they will be the first team since the John Wooden coached UCLA teams of the early 70s to capture a championship in back-to-back undefeated seasons. Not coincidentally, Coach Auriemma has been carrying around a copy of this book for much of the season. Now, this isn't his copy. He's too superstitious and won't let his out of his briefcase. And he's also been talking to his players about striving for perfection, telling them you can't reach it, but hopefully along the way you might attain excellence. Tonight, UConn has a chance to achieve both excellence and perfection. But Stanford will have a lot to say about that. And with more on the Cardinal, I'll send it over to Holly Rowe.
Well, Stanford coach Tara Vanderveer just told me before the game, you know, we would have been perfect this season too, except we decided to accept the challenge to play UConn, and I'm glad we did. It was their only loss of the season, but a valuable teaching tool. The players told us yesterday they had a film session in the morning, and it was so great to see themselves playing against UConn. They said they learned from their mistakes they made in the second half. They learned that they can play with this team if they cut out their self-inflicted wounds like lack of hustle and turning over the ball. And as their coach Tara says, they need to learn tonight they can't be nice Stanford girls. They've got to take it at UConn.
Holly, Rebecca, thank you very much. Two schools that combined to play 75 games this season against the best opponents in women's college basketball from coast to coast, and they're a combined 74-1. Ready for the opening tip, and it's won by Stanford. UConn in the home whites, but the Cardinal gets the first crack at the basket in the national finals.
No surprise, Connecticut opens man-to-man. Ogwumake and Maya Moore square off one-on-one.
Gold thought about a three, now drives the lane. The kick here for Ogwumake, but short with it. And the first rebound of the night hauled in by Tina Charles. On the attack, Tiffany Hayes, just like she did against Brittany Griner, going in immediately, but can't get it to roll in. Pulling off to Kayla Peterson for the pull-up. A lot of iron, but that one falls away.
Tara Vanderveer came over to us about an hour before the game and stated simply, we have to make open shots. They've had 2 open looks, and they've started with 2 misses.
Maya Moore, first touch, in and out. So chilly start for both inside the opening minute here at the Alamo Dome. Poland lost the handle, comes away to Green, and on the attack the Huskies in their 11th trip to the Final Four. Hayes lifts and gets it from 3.
That's a concern because in the semifinal, the guards from Connecticut, when a combined 4 for 23, Tara Vanderveer was expected to give Doty and Hayes shots, and Hayes makes her first one.
Stanford at 36-1. Connecticut coming in 38-0. Gold on Woodey. Trying to free up Agumake. Stops at the foul line. Lost her dribble. Double team. And traveling with it. Doty and Green all over her.
Tiffany Hayes, Gina Warrior-Emma would like to see her in one-on-one situations as much as possible because he does not believe they can contain her off the bounce. And folks, if she makes perimeter jump shots, there's no checking Tiffany Hayes.
Hayes harnessed by 4 fouls in the semifinal against Baylor. She said, no, I did not enjoy that win because I was on the bench for a big chunk of it. She had no fun at all. Hard drive and banks it in. Over goal on Woodey. And a 5-0 start for Connecticut. Holding up top for Appel. Jane Appel playing with a very sore right ankle. She sprained it in mid-March. And she has barely practiced here in San Antonio. She doesn't even come out for the layup drill. That's how sore that is. Peterson, terrific drive, flips it up for 2.
There is their matchup advantage. Kayla Peterson at 6'4" can drain 3-point shots. She can use the dribble left and right, and her size differential makes her a hard guard.
Hayes left open, another one on the way, but too strong. Stanford trying to push it. Poland up ahead for Agumake, but too much.
Well, here is where Stanford very often has the advantage in terms of their matchup. She made plays in the semifinals for herself and others. This time just turns the corner and uses that size to score at the rim. And remember what Holly Rowe touched on in her open. Self-inflicted wounds. Connecticut is too good a basketball team on both ends. You have to minimize the mistakes you make against them.
Charles will shoot it. Tipped up by Maya Moore, but no. And Peterson comes away with a rebound for the Cardinals. Their 3rd straight trip to the Final Four. Under Tara Vanderveer, Appel on a high post for Poland on the handoff. Fires. And short. And Moore is fouled in the rebounding fray.
Some of the things we talked about in the first matchup. And you'll see the differential in significant areas. Points in the paint, rebound margin, second chance and turnovers. These are all things Connecticut has dominated. In fact, Dave, in that first matchup, of Connecticut's first 68 points, 38 of those came off things Stanford could fix. 18 came off turnovers, 20 off second chance points. You've got a rebound, and again, you can't turn it over.
Appel just picked up her first foul. Hayes left open again, and that one's around and out, but it got a great look. Murphy into the ball game very quickly here. Tara Vanderveer going to her bench and bringing on the junior, Melanie Murphy. Appel swinging underneath Agumake. Tough catch. Can't bank it in. So she's off to a cool start. Maya Moore for Charles. The 2 players of the year, and that's a traveling violation.
Tara Vanderveer told her team earlier today, Tiffany Hayes wants to score. And in the first 4 minutes, she has looked to do exactly that. She drains her first 3-point opportunity and then shows you the balance she has. Huskies.
At the first time out, Connecticut with a 5-2 lead on the Stanford Cardinal in the national championship game. This is pre-game huddle for Stanford. Listen to Jane Appel.
You guys have prepared for this all season long. along. I have told you from day one, this is the year of the national champions. I honestly believe that from day one.
The senior out of Pleasant Hill, California. It's all about believing for Stanford. Peterson turns and leaves it short, but follows her own miss. And another opportunity for the Cardinals. J.J. Hones getting into the contest now for Tara Vanderveer. Agumake with a miss. Appel, tough rebound, can't get it to go.
So what are you seeing? You're seeing a Stanford team execute to get open shots, but not make open shots.
Hayes with it now. She's 2 for 5. It's Charles and Appel pushing and shoving in the paint.
And all of Stanford's shots, front rim, Dave, and that usually indicates nerves.
More lost the handle. Shot clock down to 7. They're leaving Hayes open to shoot again. She decided not to there. Shot clock down to 1. Doty had to force it. Very unlike Connecticut to whittle that shot clock and get a bad shot.
Well, they're simply choosing to leave Doty and Hayes enough of a cushion and say, all right, you guys made one perimeter shot. Can you make more?
Bones got airborne, gave it off to Appel. And Murphy will back it out. Hayes and Doty have never lost a game. The two sophomores in a Connecticut uniform. Shot clock at 5 now for Stanford. Appel on a bounce and wide open Agumake.
Good execution. And that time a little bit closer opportunity.
Moore just grazed the iron. Murphy pushing the tempo here now. Taylor Peterson with it here. We called her the most underrated player in this Final Four. On the entry, Agumake draws the foul.
Well, one of the most valuable things in all of basketball is a center who can pass the basketball or finish over either shoulder. She sells a little handoff, goes right to the rim, and how about the soft bounce pass to her front court mate, Agumake.
Moore with her first. In the tournament, Agumake has been nothing short of sensational, turning in one of the great Final Four performances ever against the Oklahoma Sooners. 38 points, a national semifinal record, along with 16 rebounds, and she played 38 minutes. 75% foul shooter, misses the second one. Tied at 5. Agumake jumping out to guard Tiffany Hayes. Maya Moore again. Boy, that one missed badly too. Her first few shots in this one, and she is 0 for 4, have not been Maya Moore shots.
Well, Coach Arama has talked about it. Make no mistake. Yes, they have won 77 consecutive. But this is a fragile thing. One bad shooting night, foul trouble, you name it. And all of a sudden, a 40-minute game can become a very tenuous thing.
They just got Kalena Green on the personal, her first, as that pass went sailing out of bounds, but a foul against Connecticut. So Peterson, the junior from Fountain Hills, Arizona, to put it in. Poland got it. Jeanette Poland, who had an incredible coast-to-coast dash to beat Xavier in Sacramento to get them here.
So all of a sudden, after missing their first several shots, as you see, the Connecticut Huskies rarely in deficit situations. Stanford has settled down. Now they've made a couple shots. You take that sigh of relief and you just start to play.
Doty trying to answer. That clangs away. UConn real cold early on. Trailing by 2 in the national championship. Jocelyn Tinkle lets fly. And rebounded away by Hayes. Pull-up pop here by Green. Another miss. Charles with a strong rebound and draws the foul. They're going to get Tinkle for that one with 12:47 to go in the opening half.
We talked in the open about Stanford being a rhythm offensive team, one of the best coached teams in the country. Their scouts are terrific and their execution offensively. Tinkle lays a screen. Hayes a little bit late coming around, and Poland makes her pay.
So Tina Charles is 70% foul shooter, misses the first one. Vice President Joe Biden is here tonight. He has 5 grandkids, including 4 granddaughters. They're basketball crazy family as well. Both Finnegan, who's 11, and Macy, who's 8, play basketball and in the house as well. And Holly will be chatting with the Vice President shortly. Off target again. Boy, even the free throws are not falling for Connecticut, Doris.
Well, so the best defensive team in the country, the team that has given up the fewest points and forced the toughest percentage, has got to depend on its defense for a few minutes.
Peterson denied the lane. Murphy running the point right now with a shot clock at 6. Appel turns. Bank shot, no. Gumake right back up for 2.
Not enough to check her out. She is an explosive leaper, incredibly fast off her feet, and her timing is exceptional.
Confidence growing early. Connecticut is 2 for 13. And another miss. They can't get anything to go. Stanford with a 9-5 lead. And even though it's terribly early, and no one's even hit double figures as a team on the scoreboard, Peterson got it, a three-pointer. Just to see Connecticut trailing is amazing. Timeout, Gino Auriemma.
Stanford started out, looked like there were a couple of nerves. They were executing, getting open shots. Once they got a couple to fall, their confidence has grown. Agumake, one of the best athletes in the country, explosive off her feet. And Gino Auriemma said it. This is one of the most versatile offensive teams in the country. I do not believe we can shut them down at every position, just like I don't believe they can shut us down. Who can make the other more uncomfortable is the important thing tonight.
You are looking at the biggest deficit of the year by the University of Connecticut. 11:43 to go. Well, Jane Appel talking about believing they would be national champions. She said she's believed it all season long.
And they're the only people who matter. It doesn't matter that most of the country expects Connecticut to be ordained national champions when this night ends. It matters only that the competitors between the lines believe they can win.
Kelly Farris in, the freshman who's had such a big impact on the Huskies, playing big minutes. Doty up top. Farris knocked away by Agumake with 6 on the shot clock. And a timeout. 11:19 to go here in the opening half. Holly visiting with the vice president here in San Antonio, and we come back. Back in San Antonio, how about this? Stanford on top of Connecticut, 12-5 in the first half. Let's go to Holly with a special guest.
Well, Vice President Joe Biden is here attending the game. He's in San Antonio to go to the Brooks Medical Army Center tomorrow, but what is your impression so far of Stanford and UConn?
Hey, Stanford came to win. These kids, you can't win unless you think you can, and they act like they think they can. It's going to be a good game.
You've got 3 of your granddaughters here with you. How have you seen sports empower young women?
Same way it empowered my daughter. It gives them overwhelming confidence. You know, I've been telling my daughters and my granddaughters they can do anything a boy can do. I mean that sincerely, anything. And when they go out there and they compete, it also, like with my daughter, it teaches her to compete in life. I mean, you know, it's a very different thing. She was a great lacrosse player. This one's crew. I got 2 basketball players here. I'm looking for scholarships right now, actually.
Okay, we'll see what we can do with the coaches. And hey, he said Maisie, his granddaughter, she's the best on both the boys and the girls team. How about that, Dave and Doris?
All right, Holly, thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Vice President. New shot clock here for Connecticut. And a 12-5 Stanford lead.
11 straight missed shots. Tina Charles makes it 12, and that's only her second opportunity. And Nneka is boarding with authority.
The Pac-10 Player of the Year. Appel draws the double team. And a single on Charles. Murphy off the fake. Here's Peterson, who drained a 3 moments ago. Appel left unguarded. Shot clock down to 7. Stanford being very patient. Agumake turns. Appel with a rebound. Right back up. Can't get it. So a golden chance for Stanford to extend that lead. Connecticut without a field goal in over 7.5 minutes. And I mean ugly shots.
Now you've got 2 players, Peterson and Melanie Murphy, just sagging off looking to do this. Give some help inside.
exactly the play they wanted, exactly how they wanted to run it, as Charles got it in deep, but still missed on the hook.
Well, interestingly, and Rebecca Lobo and I were talking about this morning at our meeting, Tina Charles had to work so hard to guard Brittany Griner. It was a physical matchup. I wonder what her legs are feeling like.
Murphy flips it up, wild shot off the side, rebounded away by Connecticut. Golden Woode remains on the bench for a long, long stretch here in the first half. Maya Moore, no. She's 0 for 5. And a battle down deep into the corner. And it'll stay on this end. Well, don't miss the Masters on ESPN as the world's best battle for elusive glory and the coveted green jacket. First and second round coverage of the Masters Thursday and Friday on ESPN at 4 Eastern. Connecticut, a team that shot 52% from the field, but nothing going down right now. One clang after another. And the best player in the country is on the bench.
I wonder if he just wants to let her get her legs underneath her, let her think about some things. She's missed her first five shots. And listen, they take a lot of strength from Maya's ability on the offensive end.
Peterson, tough rebound, trying to follow her own miss. A collision here, and it'll be Connecticut ball. 12-5 Stanford.
The last time Maya Moore was up against Stanford, a couple of personal fouls forced her to sit for significant stretches. And look what happened. Connecticut outscored by 17. We'll monitor it tonight.
They shot 11% while she was on the bench, but they're only shooting a little over 10%. And she's played most of the half. Hayes into the paint, swoops it up. No, even the layup's not going. And yet another miss.
Now it's a travel, and it's an outstanding call. Tina Charles, who's usually getting at least 5 and 6 field goal opportunities by this point, looks like she goes to rush a little bit.
Connecticut has missed their last 16 shots. Rebecca, have you ever seen the Huskies shoot it this badly?
I have not this season, but I also haven't seen them run this poor offense. This is a team that assists on many of its made baskets. So many of the shots they're taking are players going one-on-one. And you're going back to the Tina Charles fatigue. Most players don't get tired running up and down the floor. It's from banging, and she had a lot of physical play against Brittany Griner the other night.
Jeanette Poland going over the back, committing the foul as Moore continues to sit here.
What you would hope for if you're Stanford is you put a little bit more distance between you and Connecticut, because it's not a team that generally struggles on the offensive end. How long does it last? The other thing you're thinking is Stanford is masterful. They know the personnel of their opponent as you see another turnover and a completely rattled offensive team. But Stanford knows how to scout. Tara Vanderveer is a Hall of Fame coach in her own right. She said, we may not be as fast, we may not have the athletes, but we know what we hope to accomplish on the defensive end of the floor.
Look at this. More than 12 minutes into the first half, UConn has 5 points. Shocking. Murphy doing a pretty good job running the point, and that one is deflected off of her on the step in by Tiffany Hayes.
You know, the Stanford Cardinals stepped between the lines believing they were worthy of a national championship. Poland, Agwumake, Appel, they're all making plays. Peterson, a versatile team. National championship at stake here in San Antonio. Stanford plus 12. And how are they taking away the most dominant center in the country? Well, Jane Appel is doing her job. She's pushing her as far up the block as she possibly can. Then it's about team defense for Stanford. They're basically sucking in on the inside and saying, Connecticut, if you don't make open shots, we're going to send an awful lot of defenders of Tina Charles. A little bit anxious. She starts to travel. And yet another turnover. Now they should have more points on the board, but Stanford has missed its own last 6 shots.
So they missed a window. A foul with 7:33 to go. That'll go against Stanford as we go to Rebecca.
Doris, what do you do sometimes when you're having a hard time scoring is simplify things on the offensive end. That last huddle, Coach Oriema told his team, we are going to run this certain play for the rest of the half. No more standing around and doing nothing. It's a play that involves a lot of screening and motion, guys.
The Connecticut has not scored in about 10 and a half minutes. Moore swooping in. Finally breaks that drought.
Make no mistake, that's just a great play by a great player against Agwumake, who's got the kind of athleticism that's going to make Maya Moore work all night long. And Connecticut goes zone, Dave O'Brien.
Stanford only shooting 25% themselves. Poland got it way downtown.
Yep, that is their most prolific three-point shooter. That's number 69 on the year for Poland.
Charles in the high post. Yes. And some offensive life finally for Connecticut. 15-9. You really don't want to look at those field goal numbers. 6:39 to go. Tipped out. It'll be Stanford ball.
Well, Maya Moore is the best player in women's college basketball, and Ogwumike is down in her stance. Maya gets by with an explosive first step, the athleticism, and then Tina Charles, a quick hitter, the 15-footer with Appel a little bit slow to challenge.
Certainly an appropriate way to end the season. Maya Moore against Nneka Ogwumike. Two players playing better than anybody in America probably right now. 6.5 minutes left. Holmes thought about the three. Appel swings it out. Holmes is open. No from three-point land, and Charles chases it down. Tiffany Hayes will call out a play now for UConn. Connecticut 51-5 in NCAA tournament games since the 2000 season. Barris, too strong. Ogwumike battling for the rebound. Got it free to Poland. Connecticut has yet to break into double digits. Holmes left wide open. And Appel with the rebound. Another shot clock here for Stanford.
Well, and Stanford doing what you must. Compete on the glass. Peterson, Ogwumike doing their job there.
The swing for Peterson. She cashes in a three.
Again, execution. They're facing a zone, so they take a look at it. They get ball reversal, both opportunities, and two good looks at the basket.
Charles will shoot it from 16. They're trying to keep the rebound alive, but it comes back over to the Cardinal. Their third straight trip into the Final Four. Now trying to win a national title against a team that not many thought could lose.
Well, you see what Coach Auriemma has done. He's gone to a big lineup, which you don't see often.
Too strong by Ogwumike. Hayes to penetrate and draws the foul. And she got hit on the head with 4:45 to go. Major League Baseball continues on ESPN2 Wednesday night from Fenway Park. John Lackey making his season debut for the Red Sox against the Yankees and Andy Pettitte. Yankees Red Sox at ESPN2's Wednesday Night Baseball presented by Captain Morgan at 7 Eastern. Foul on Poland, her second.
Few of the things Stanford has done well, and they've done many things well here. They've slowed down Connecticut's transition game, which in and of itself can sometimes take away the will of their opponent. And it's interesting that you see just a substitution made, but very briefly. You had Kylie McLaren on the floor with Tina Charles and Maya Moore, and that's to counteract some of the size of Stanford.
Well, UConn had some foul shooting trouble in the semifinal, and they're 0 for 4 at the line in this one. (18-9) Stanford. Caleb Peterson for Appel. Pass eventually got to Ogwumike. Charles with the block. Hayes again almost gave it up on the dribble. Connecticut's concentration level is off big time.
Well, they just look anxious. Now, you've taken Kelly Farris and put her in the basketball game for Doty, who is rendered ineffective.
Moore again. Got this one from three. Very smooth. She has 5. And Doty is going to report back in for Gino Auriemma.
Good solid screen. And you see UConn go to that very often when they need a basket. They'll ball screen or dribble handoff with Maya Moore.
Backdoor cut. Murphy with a tough catch, but traveling with it. 6 turnovers now for Stanford. And a timeout on the court with 3:40 to go in the first half.
Now, Jeanette Poland making perimeter jump shots. That was her 69-3. Kayla Peterson can score as well. This is
fewest points ever scored in a national final in a women's championship game, 17. And Connecticut only has 12 with 3:40 left in the first half, Doris.
Well, it wouldn't shock me if they went on a run. And you know, they can spurt you. They generally put on a run of 10-0, 11-0, 12-2, something like that.
Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
The great thing about Tara Vanderveer's huddles, they're never too high or too low. They are businesslike. The players are not celebrating this lead right now. They're very calm in their demeanor. But what she did say is, I need some other players to step up right now. Melanie Murphy in instead of Jeanette Poland because of the 2 fouls. She said, you need to slow down.
Charles up top, too strong. Moore with the rebound and floats it short. And Moore hitting the deck, can't free it up.
This is a team unaccustomed to playing from behind, so you wonder how Connecticut will react to it. Will you try to quick shoot your way back into it, or will you stay true to your principles?
Held back in, that's her favorite shot, but she can't get it. Connecticut did not score from the 17:59 mark to the 7:22 mark, so they went 10 minutes and 37 seconds without a point. Not a field goal, without a point. And yet Stanford's only shooting 27%. UConn 18%. Murphy directing traffic here. Shot clock to 7. Holmes over Doty. Rebound tipped and controlled by UConn. Doty, and that's going to be a foul on a trip. They're going to get Peterson, who did what she could to get out of the way, to no avail. That's her first. We're coming up on the Home Depot halftime report, a first half breakdown. And Tara advises Gino on the Olympics, and a lot more at the break.
Neither team has put the other one in the bonus shooting free throws. As hard as they've played defensively, no one has committed that many fouls.
Bad pass by Maya Moore. Do you know, Oriema, what is going through his mind right now? He has 12 points with 2 minutes before halftime in the national championship game. Extraordinary.
I bet you he's anxious to get into the locker room and get his team settled down.
Holmes off the screen by Appel. Tinkle with a shot clock at 3. Here's Holmes. And it's Charles with a rebound. 6-point Stanford lead. Charles stepping up and traveling. A lot of traveling violations in the first 20 minutes for Connecticut.
Sense a little frustration. Again, this is a Connecticut team that is used to getting out in transition, scoring easy opportunities. And Stanford is just, their personnel scouting. They are just leaning back into the paint and challenging Connecticut to make perimeter shots.
Almost saw a hint of a grin on Tina Charles' face, like this is too ridiculous to believe. Who would have conceived it? Peterson misfires off the front of the rim. Neither side making shots. Doty on the wing, approaching 1 minute to go in a half that can't end soon enough for Connecticut. Hayes plowing forward and an offensive foul.
Just completely out of sorts. And if you notice Tara Vanderveer's team, you've got terrific help side. So many of her defenders have a foot inside the paint on every defensive possession. Tell you what you do a lot of times, Dave. You guard out to the three-point line. You don't overextend yourself. Jump shots are a lot harder to make in a national championship setting than in a regular season setting.
40 seconds left in the first half. Shot clock down to 7. Appel finds Murphy. She'll shoot it. Peterson with a rebound, lays it in. She's had a big first half with 10 and 8.
Single toughest matchup for any opponent of Stanford is Kayla Peterson.
Now the turnover. And a timeout by Stanford. Tara Vanderveer takes one here to set up the last shot.
Tina Charles had to work so hard in the national semifinal. Brittany Griner, 6'8", freshman of the year. On Sunday night, put Tina Charles through their paces. They gave as good as they got. She had to work hard for every single one of her points. And tonight, it gets no easier. Jane Appel, a little bit different in that she doesn't have the size, but she's as physically strong as Brittany Griner, maybe stronger. And she's simply pushing Tina Charles as far away from the rim, making her shoot jump shots. And if you have to pick your poison with Tina Charles, make her shoot 15-foot jump shots.
Charles with 21 points, 13 rebounds against Baylor and Brittany Griner, but 1 for 6 from the field in the first half here tonight. Hayes is 2 for 7, Doty 0 for 3, Moore is 2 for 8, and Green is 0 for 2 among the starters. Connecticut 5 out of 28, and 0 for 4 at the line. That one kicks, and it squibs out of play with 5.6 seconds to go.
Melanie Murphy, all season long, the most she's played for Stanford, 30 minutes, and that was back on January 16th. The young woman has gotten an awful lot of minutes through the first 20 minutes in the national championship game.
Jocelyn Tickle comes on. Appel will step out in the final seconds of the half. Murphy with Hayes jumping right in front of her, trying to get it in. And it's going to be a violation. 5-second violation, couldn't get it in, so Connecticut will have the basketball. Against Baylor at the half, Maya Moore had 21 points. Tina Charles had 13. Doty, 2 seconds to go. Partially blocked. Tinkle got a hand on it. And Stanford with the lead at the half over UConn as we go to Rebecca.
Coach, 12 first half points. Why have you been so unproductive offensively?
I don't know. This is the worst I've ever seen it. You know, we miss a couple shots and now we're in a hurry, and then we miss a couple more and now we're even more of a hurry. You know, we're just completely out of our rhythm. We have absolutely no rhythm on offense, and they're being obviously very, very physical in there, and we're not responding to it very well at all.
All right, Coach, thank you. Send it over to Holly Rowe, who's with Tara Vanderveer.
Coach, you wanted your team to be more aggressive. How do you like the tone they've set here for the first half?
Well, you know, we are being aggressive, but Holly, I think we can execute a lot better. But, you know, we're playing hard, and our kids are very motivated. I know we'll come out and play a great second half.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Stanford leading 20-12 at the half. Kayla Peterson has been the biggest star for the Cardinals. 12 points ties the fewest points Connecticut has ever had at halftime in their history. Played here. We welcome you back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. And inside the Alamo Dome, a look now at the Capital One game track. Connecticut trailing by 8 at halftime, the largest deficit in their last 78 games. 12 points in the first half, tying the fewest in school history, and trailed for over 13 and a half minutes as that long winning streak of 77 in a row is in serious jeopardy. Having said all that, as stunned as we are, Doris Burke, from what we have seen, if you're Gino Auriemma, shooting 17% in the first half, you're only down 8. You got to be doing backflips getting back out here.
I don't think there's any question, because Stanford went 4 for their last 18 and didn't put enough pressure on them in the first half to get enough separation. Tara Vanderveer wants more execution in the second half. There were periods where they executed well, I thought. This was when Connecticut went to the 2-3 zone. So watch the movement of both people and the ball. It gets reversed against that zone, a wide open shot. Then Kayla Peterson's simply going to give the basketball to Jane Appel, and the defender will go under, and Peterson at 6'4" pulls the trigger. So even on the challenge, her size remains a problem.
Peterson with 10 points, 8 rebounds. Hard to believe this is the same Connecticut team that had 39 at the half against Baylor. Opening up the second half with 12 points.
Well, they open man-to-man here in the second half again, Stanford.
Charles misfires right away, too strong, but they'll get it back.
It's something Tara Vanderveer told her team yesterday at practice. She said, we are in the man-to-man, but I want zone principles and a zone feel, meaning she wants lots of red jerseys in that paint, and that's what she's gotten.
Moore short again. She's 2 for 9. UConn missing their first 2 in the opening seconds of the second half. Agumake holds it up. Tried for Peterson, but threw it away. 8 turnovers for Stanford.
Look at the arms wide. They talked about this. She said, I want you to appear big in that lane.
Tiffany Hayes had a very tentative first half. Here's Doty. A line driver off the mark. Green right back up. And a whistle and a foul on the play. Delana Green got hit. Remember, Stanford's only loss all season long came at Hartford, Connecticut in December. They had a 2-point lead at halftime. Kayla Peterson with her second foul. So Green to shoot where she's 69%. In November, she passed the 1,000-point mark at Connecticut. They still have not made a foul shot either. They're 0 for 5.
Well, let's go back to something Holly Rowe discussed in her open as we started this telecast. She talked about Stanford watching the tape of that December 23rd game and feeling like their self-inflicted wounds, their mistakes, and their inability to win the hustle plays had a huge impact on losing that basketball game. And Dave, I know something you've talked about over and over again is the stretch Stanford went through, the opponents they faced in the week leading up to that basketball game.
8 days beating Duke and Tennessee on their way to facing Connecticut at Hartford. Olonwude back in, helping to run the point. Here's Poland, shot clock at 5. Appel on Charles. She's not hitting either. Charles draped all over her. We'll see if Hayes attacks the rim. She doesn't again. She stays outside the three-point line. Gina Auriemma benched her for a stretch in the first half because she was too tentative.
She and Doty in the last 2 games, including tonight, 3 for their last 25. The 2 players who have never lost in a Connecticut uniform now face a deficit. And how will those young players react? They didn't react well in the national semifinal. Will they react well in the final 18?
Hayes crashing in, no foul. Olonwude too strong, and a foul will go against Stanford. Underneath the iron, 17:59 to go here in the national championship. A foul on Agumake, and that'll be her second.
Yeah, you can see the glass is important. Agumake takes her left arm and puts Maya Moore to the deck. Not the nice girls from Stanford who showed up this evening.
That halftime score went out all the way around the country. Connecticut trailing by 7 now in the second half. They've won 77 in a row. Charles up top. Here's Hayes. Lines it up. Off the back of the iron. Maya Moore with an acrobatic rebound. Returns it and hits it. UConn needs a whole lot more of that. She has 7. Connecticut looking for the hot hand. Appel backing down. Hooks again, and Moore rejects her. And now a foul here. Charles tied up with Appel. And Tina Charles will pick up her first.
Well, it has been a grinded game. 2 teams really giving as much as they can on the defensive end of the floor, and twice on the pipes, both Moore and Charles there on the challenge.
Appel outside the 3, but not her shot. She's 0 for 7, by the way. That ankle may be hurting a lot more than she lets on. Against Charles. Wants to shoot it again. Blocked again. She can't get any lift at all, and it'll be Connecticut ball.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that Jane Appel is not 100% healthy. She is less explosive, and Tina Charles lets her have it back at it.
Now, if you had said that Connecticut would be within 5, shooting 6 for their first 35 against the number 2 team in the country, I would have said you're crazy.
Yes.
Maya Moore on Agumake went down and traveling with it. UConn kicks it over, their 8th turnover.
Remember what Coach Auriemma told Rebecca Lobo at the half. He talked about, we got behind, we missed our first few shots, we started to rush. Maya on that catch didn't play with great pace. It's like she's rushing. And that was something Carol Lawson touched on in the pregame show. The greatest growth for Maya Moore this year has been slowing down a little bit and playing with better pace.
16:38 to go here in the national championship. There's blood on the back of Moore's jersey. And Maya Moore with blood on her hand. So the reason for the official timeout.
Looks like blood on the jersey of Kalena Green as well.
The bloody it has been. 20-15 into the second half of the national championship game. Poland swinging underneath the Agumake. Oh, got a great look and missed the bunny. She didn't miss any of those in the national semifinal. More off the great fake. Banks it in.
Better pace on that one. A simple up fake lifts the defender and a nice one dribble pull up.
Well denied by Charles. Wanted no part of her there. Appel swings to her right. Another miss. Doty looking up, finds Hayes. Off the screen. Wild and a charge. But Jane Appel is down in pain. She is on her back and she's in agony. And she gets lifted up by her teammates.
The way the young guards for Connecticut are performing, they are now 3 for their last 26. You're going to need Maya Moore to start making some plays as you see Appel in a little bit of pain with that right ankle.
Stanford hasn't scored a point in the second half, but they still lead UConn by 3. Jane Appel with more work on that very tender and sprained right ankle. And here's how it happened. He's leaning in, and Jane Appel got stepped on. Let's go to Holly.
Well, guys, they've tried taping over the tape she already had, but I just saw one of the medical personnel from the team come over and talk to her, and I heard her say, it's bad. I felt it. Do it again. They're probably going to take her off the court and re-examine her somewhere a little bit easier to look at it.
She has played in pain, Holly, and this is one of the most dangerous passing centers in all of college basketball. I wish the fans could see this young woman healthy because she is special when she is.
Jocelyn Tinkle in for her, no. Peterson with a rebound, and Poland outside. New shot clock for Stanford. Again, they have not scored since halftime. And they led Connecticut by 8. Tinkle down low. Agumake off the fake, banks in 2.
Terrific patience. There were white jerseys all around her, and she uses that simple up fake. One of the most elementary moves in basketball, but one of the most effective.
One of the best run plays for either side tonight. Great give by Moore and a basket by Green, and she'll go to the line. That was all off of Maya Moore with a tremendous feed.
Maya Moore is a playmaker extraordinaire, whether for herself or her teammates. How about that? A nice little lead to the basket.
Tinkle with the foul. Kalena Green, 69% foul shooter. And hits it. A three-point play. Connecticut down 2. Trying to force a turnover in the backcourt.
Now, this is something we had not seen to this point. Connecticut extending pressure, something they did in their December 23rd matchup.
Oh, it's trying to bounce for Agumake, but too much. And Connecticut can tie or take the lead. Appel still on that bench. Maybe there for some time.
Let's see, does Connecticut look to get Tina Charles established against the freshman Tinkle?
Moore on target for 3. UConn has the lead. First lead since it was 5-2. Poland with a good look. Can't drill it, but Tinkle with a weak side rebound. Tinkle, a 6'3" freshman. Getting huge minutes here in the national championship. Lines one up. Rebound tipped by Maya Moore, and she controls. Caroline Doty now. She can really get hot and put a string of threes together. Moore creating her own shot and knocks it down. Timeout, Stanford.
Maya Moore was out of sorts. Maya Magnificent is back, and the Huskies have the lead.
Connecticut has surged into the lead, 25-22 over Stanford. Doris, it seemed to take forever, but Maya Moore has arrived in the national championship game.
Something she has done all tournament long. Go on some offensive runs. She's got 9 of her 13 off 4 of 5 field goals. Gets Poland reacting one way. She goes opposite, and back-to-back baskets. Connecticut's run has been significant since trailing by 8.
14.7 rebounds for Moore, leading UConn into the lead.
And now they come with a little bit of pressure. Something they don't do for the full 40 because they don't have the depth necessary to do so.
McKay gave up the dribble. Here's Poland. They had that scintillating end-to-end run to beat Xavier to get to the Final Four. She did it in 4.4 seconds. And McKay fakes, trying to get by Charles, but a block. Tina Charles outlets to Moore. Maya Moore drives in for another 2. And Maya Moore is flat, taking over the game.
This is where an opposing coach goes, uh-oh. Maya Moore's starting to play. And there have been times where defenders in the NCAA tournament have had nothing for her.
She has 16. Exploding here in the second half when UConn needed her most. Owens directing traffic with McKay. Can she answer? Another block by Charles, and kept it alive. Farris in the open court, pulls up and pops. And a fight for the rebound as Doty went down hard. A terrific job there by Caroline Doty.
Well, why is Tina Charles able to check Nneka Ogwumike? Because Jane Appel is out of the game and not occupying her time. That is twice she has been checking her. And then Maya Moore gets out and lays one in transition. And Tina Charles says, that's my girl.
Appel is back in the game. UConn ball after the wonderful effort by Doty to deflect it off Stanford. UConn with a 5-point lead, and suddenly they look like Connecticut.
No, now it's Stanford's turn to show some resolve. What do you have, Stanford?
Maya thought about it, bounces back out for Hayes. Shot clock down to 8. Charles setting the screen. Doty penetrates right through everybody to lay it in. There is a bounce and energy and electricity for Connecticut that was vacant in the first half.
Well, why? Their best players giving them confidence and new life.
Appel now 0 for 10. It's a real struggle for her. Charles has certainly done it on the defensive end. And Maya Moore is lighting up the Alamo Dome here in San Antonio. National championship. Connecticut was down 8 at halftime. Look what they've done in the second half to take a 7-point lead. And this isn't the first time they've done it against Stanford.
A 17-2 run. Trigger tonight by Maya Moore. And all season long it had been Tina Charles who was the first look right up until the NCAA tournament. And then the focal point became Maya Magnificent. And why not? The best pure jump shooter in the entire country. You wanted to go off the dribble drive, she could do that. You want to get her out in transition and have her beat you there, she could do that as well.
Well, off the inbounds, J.J. Holmes just buried a three-pointer. A shot Stanford really needed, 29-25. Moore off to Doty. They want Maya to touch it as often as she can, but Doty is off target with her long one. Appel fighting for the rebound, and she'll get fouled here with 11:24 left.
J.J. Hones, Tara Vanderveer has said all tournament that she thinks J.J. could be important. A double screen allows for a free and open opportunity from deep.
Tiffany Hayes just picked up her third personal. So Stanford with the ball, 11:20 to go.
I would expect off missed shot opportunities Connecticut to try to sprint to the rim and beat Jane Appel on that tender ankle.
Poland gives it up. Appel as close as you can get. Again harassed by Charles. And a whistle underneath with 11:06 on the clock.
I think this might be on Maya Moore. That is Tina Charles' 5th block of the half, I believe.
And it will go against Maya, her second. So Stanford to put it in. Peterson, the 6'4" junior, in for Hones, who just hit that three. And taken away by Ferris. Although Moore was not really expecting the pass. So not everything quite in sync just yet for Connecticut. But far better than that ugly first half when they shot 17%.
Their entire countenance changed as soon as Maya Moore started to make shots.
Sure did.
They got a tremendous amount of confidence from this young woman.
Not this time, rebounded by Green. That won't drop in. So still a 4-point game. Stanford knocking off Oklahoma in the national semifinal. Close game, 73-66. Hones with a pull-up pop.
And who continues to just play tough, hard-nosed, smart basketball? Kelly Ferris.
Just a freshman. Cody bouncing here for Charles. The swing for Ferris. They move it well. Here's Charles up top. Got it.
Terrific execution. Tina Charles hasn't gotten as many post-ups as normal, but she has made that jump shot.
Peterson, very difficult angle. It's knocked out of play by Connecticut with 9:47 left in the national title game. Tara Vanderveer, 3-time National Coach of the Year in her 8th Final Four. Trying to find a way to get Jane Appel going. She is 0 for 11. Peterson finds Poland. Too strong off the back of the iron. Stanford one and done there. Here's Ferris from the corner, too strong. Agumake with a rebound.
Now, Agumake has boarded it with great consistency, but she also, along with Appel, is struggling to make shots.
Appel trying to dump it down low to the cutting Poland, but tipped away. Doty penetrating down the lane. No. Rebound up and in. Maya Moore. She has 18 and a timeout, Stanford.
Well, you would expect, and this is about the time you could see Connecticut separate itself as they did in the semifinal against Baylor. They are one of the most well-conditioned teams in the country, and second chance points and paint points, all the things they've dominated with are starting to come into play.
Well, don't miss the Masters on ESPN as the world's best will battle for elusive glory in the coveted green jacket. First and second round coverage of the Masters Thursday and Friday on ESPN at 4 o'clock Eastern.
Tiger Woods' performance is always compelling TV, never maybe more so than this year. It should be an interesting Thursday and Friday round.
Look at the shooting by half. We look at the first half only because we have to. Stanford, though, 2 for 18 in the second half. Not that they exactly lit it up in the first 20 minutes. Perfection. We did not have that on our minds watching Connecticut in the first half, but they have been very, very good in the second half. Poland Rude back in. She has played sparingly. Peterson off the front rim and hauled in by Poland.
Those are those hustle plays that Stanford talked about in game one that they did not make.
Poland zips the pass for Agumake. 9 points for Nneka Agumake. 33-27.
Extra possessions created by the hustle of Poland. And Jane Appel looks tired and she looks hurt. And make no mistake, that injury has had an impact on her mobility and her conditioning. And Tina makes her pay for it. Yes, indeed, that's an N1.
Tina Charles to go to the line, a foul by Appel. That'll be her second. She can't quite believe it.
I thought they might attack Jane Appel after that injury, and why not? Can she get up and down the floor, and is she willing to go and push off and guard? And Gino loves what his senior has done. The all-time leading scorer and rebounder is at the free throw line.
Just named the U.S. Basketball Writers National Player of the Year and the AP Player of the Year. She has 7. Appel again. Her patented move to the right. Can't make that one either. Great job by Ferris to keep the dribble. Boy, she's been fun to watch.
Well, that kid is all about toughness plays.
Charles wriggling free for 2.
Now, how many timeouts can you use? They're going to use another one, even though the next dead ball would have been a TD timeout.
Well, you could not see 78-0 in the first half, but you can feel it now for Connecticut, can't you?
Well, and make no mistake, this team has had games where they've struggled. St. John's, West Virginia tested their mettle. But now, all of a sudden, after Maya Moore explodes and gets some confidence, everybody else starting to do their job. Everybody else starting to settle in and relax. Nice entry pass to deep post position. And Kelly Ferris. Dave, yesterday you talked about Kelly Ferris and her ability to step in big moments and play well, and she's done it again.
Their largest deficits during the 77-game winning streak. And tonight, they trailed by 9 at one point and now leading it by 11.
And Jane Appel is now sitting on the sideline. She was rendered ineffective. You wonder how long she sits.
She's missed all 12 shots that she's taken. Peterson jumps into the lane and knocked to the floor. She'll go to the line to shoot 2. Peterson, an 83% foul shooter. Here's that timeout you talked about. 7:32 to go. 38-27 Connecticut. Texas and the UConn Huskies at 38-0, winners of 77 consecutive games, looking to make history themselves as we go to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, during that last huddle, Tara Vanderbilt told her Stanford team, look, let's just calm down. They went on a little run. Guys, this is nothing you can't handle. We've been through stuff like this before. What she wants to see is more screening from her offense. They're trying to get Ogumake going, and by doing that, she wants Ogumake setting screens on the ball. Rebecca, let's check in with you.
Well, Holly, the UConn team is much different on the court in the second half than in the first, but also much different in the huddles. In the first half, they were kind of looking at Coach Oriamo with blank stares, looking for answers. This huddle, they're looking at him, everything he's saying, they're nodding in agreement, listening and believing. Just a much different countenance in this team, Doris, than in the first half.
Yeah, no question. It all triggered, Rebecca, by the scoring spurt that Maya Moore went on.
Well, with 18 points to lead all scorers. Ferris thought about a long 3. Brody back to Moore. She'll shoot the long 3 and hit it.
That's why passing up an open 3 with that much time is the smart play by Kelly Ferris. You want the right people shooting the basketball at the right time, and most of the time, that's Maya Magnificent.
Ferris, so savvy and unselfish. And again, a long career coming for her at Connecticut. Under 7 minutes left in the national championship. Golden Wooded blocked by Tina Charles, and that'll be her 5th. Actually, her 6th block shot. She has been tremendous defensively since the break. Charles will fire it. Ogumake high up for the rebound. Stanford looking for a hot hand. Ogumake has not had a sensational scoring night with 9 points, but she does have 11 rebounds. They've held her in check on the offensive end. She sets a screen here. Bounce pass that doesn't quite get there. A tie-up. Possession arrow will be Stanford's with 5:55 left. Now Helena Green will come back on for Connecticut, and J.J. Hones into the game for the Cardinals. Well, Appel has returned. Tara Vanderveer trying to give her breaks, but that ankle is not going to heal up in this ball game. A whistle and a foul, 5:55 to go. That personal will go against Green, her third for Connecticut.
Yeah, she gets called for the hold as Agumake tries to come across the midpoint of that paint. Now they're just switch it.
Owens over the top. Poland running into Hayes there, pulls up and pops. And it's Doty for the weak side rebound. Connecticut on top, 41-29. If you missed the first half, it was probably the ugliest first half Connecticut has played. They were held to 12 points on 17% shooting, but a lot of this in the second half as they open up the lead.
It's been a real struggle offensively by Caroline Doty, but it hasn't stopped her from shooting the basketball.
Connecticut trying to join the UCLA men of the early 1970s of John Wooden as the only Division I teams to post back-to-back perfect seasons. Gino Auriemma calling a play from the sideline. Under 5 to go here in San Antonio.
Yeah, now he's just managing clock. He's going to make sure on possessions they're going to use it until they get an open look.
It's been a tough shot all night for Tina. But she has done her part, swatting shots.
You see what Stanford has done in the second half. Connecticut has been the best defensive team all season long.
Poland with a handoff, an open look, and it rolls away. And a whistle here and a foul, 4:26 to go. As Doty went down, losing her footing, the foul will go against Hones. Her first. The last team to knock off Connecticut was Stanford in the 2008 Final Four in Tampa, Florida. But Maya Moore playing like she's going to make sure there was no repeat of that. She has been spectacular in the second half.
Well, Connecticut's defense taking its toll as well. I mean, this is a team that 228 consecutive opponents have not shot 50% against. One contested shot.
Traveling violation here against UConn. Moore, by the way, in the second half, 16 points, 5 rebounds. She's made 7 out of 9. And Maya couldn't buy a shot in the first half. 228 straight games without allowing an opponent to shoot 50% or higher. Stanford right now at 19%. Agumake. Yes, that's a 2.
Well, she adds that, Dave, to her arsenal. She will not be able to be guarded because her speed around the rim, the explosive first step, the unbelievable hops. She doesn't shoot that shot very often, Agumake.
Another whistle here with 3:40 to play.
Well, the Connecticut Huskies looked in trouble the entire first 20 minutes. Maya Moore was magnificent to start the second half. Her teammates got confidence as she started to play, and it's been all Connecticut since.
3 minutes, 4 seconds left in this national championship game as the Huskies are bearing down on what would be a 7th national title. And during this winning streak of 77 consecutive games, it's been one blowout after another for the UConn Huskies, averaging over 26 points per win. UCLA during their 88 in a row, 14 points. The average margin of victory. Wins by 9 points or fewer. A big 0 there for the UConn women.
And just as you have not seen another streak like UCLA's, I really believe this would be the last streak of its kind in women's college basketball. You've got some teams that are going to be very good next year. Baylor, one of those teams. You saw glimpses of that in the NCAA tournament from Kim Mulkey's team.
Connecticut next season will be playing Baylor during the regular season. They'll be playing Oklahoma. They'll be playing Stanford. Here's Maya Moore in and out. Peterson with a rebound. Is there time here for Stanford? Down by 13.
I think you've got to be pretty efficient with your possessions. You've got to make Connecticut feel you. Get it inside double digits and let them feel some pressure.
Holmes looking for room, scoops it up. That won't drop. Rebound tapped and controlled by Tina Charles.
During the course of this streak, Connecticut coming in only has trailed 0.2% of the time. They haven't had to react in the second half to trailing by a margin as the game has worn down.
UConn working the clock a little bit. Shot clock is down to 8 on a 3 by Doty.
Her confidence is growing. It had been a monumental struggle in the national semifinals and for the first 15 minutes of this one.
Poland answers on the other end with a 3. That just gets it back to 13.
Yeah, and Stanford will extend to half court, but this is not a full court pressing type team. They don't have that kind of personnel. Coach Auriemma will make sure that they're prepared for what's coming here in the last 2:16. Boy, 1 for 14 in the national semifinals combined for Doty and Hayes. They had struggled, and it had continued here to start this basketball game. But she's made her last 2 threes. And Coach Auriemma likes to say about both of them, those 2 characters have a lot of character.
They have a right to wonder if they will ever lose at Connecticut. Major League Baseball continuing on ESPN2 Wednesday night from Fenway. John Lackey making his season debut for Boston against the Yankees and Andy Pettitte. Yankees-Red Sox on ESPN2 Wednesday night. Presented by Captain Morgan at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Omar Garcia-Parra makes his debut on Wednesday Night Baseball. Connecticut fans getting in a little dig on the Stanford Cardinal, but there's only one Maya. And she has 21. And a foul here by Peterson to stop the clock with 2:15 to go. That'll be her 3rd. But is it all futile at this point? Stanford had an 8-point lead at halftime. But I'll bet you anything after the game, Tara Vanderveer is going to bemoan the fact that her team was only up 8.
Yes.
Despite the fact Connecticut was abysmal shooting the basketball.
And she's going to bemoan the fact that Jane Appel, her senior, has battled injuries all season long. And from the point she turned her ankle, it has been a tough road for Stanford.
In and out by Green. Rebound snatched by Agumake. Who has not been able to match Maya Moore in the national championship game, basket for basket. Owens off the bank, no. Gets her own miss. Out for Poland. She connects from 3. So Stanford is 10 down.
And again, they push up to the half-court mark. Connecticut will have to be solid with the basketball and make some free throws in all likelihood.
And more calling for it up top.
For Connecticut, you want to stay spaced and to start to attack the rim with under 10.
8 to shoot. Off for Doty. On the drive, lost her footing, went plowing ahead and gave it up. So Stanford off the turnover trying to cash in. Owens with Charles out on her. Good luck there. Peterson, long distance. Yes! Off the window.
Wow. Charles going to use a timeout. Connecticut was switching all screens. I don't think she called glass on that one. But exactly what you had hoped for. Efficient offensive possessions and make Connecticut feel you a little bit here.
Stanford is out of timeouts, but a 7-point game.
Yeah, is it too little, too late? You had to extend to guard the 3-point line. There is the switch. Kayla off window. And the bench reacts. But again, this is not a team that will push up 94 feet. They do not have the athletic bodies and personnel to go ahead and steal, trap, steal, score. They're going to have to count on Connecticut missing some free throws and breaking down offensively.
Stanford on a mini 9-0 run. UConn by 7 points. Jane Appel unable to do much, mainly because Tina Charles has been tremendous defensively with those block shots. Connecticut has the possession arrow as well. Appel, by the way, 0 for 12 from the field. Maya Moore, 21 points, 9 rebounds. Appel, a senior. So her last game at Stanford. It has been a tremendous career for the All-American.
Well, a multiple times State Farm All-American, Jane Appel. She has battled injuries all season long. You lead as the Pac-10's all-time leading rebounder, not the way you had hoped to perform in your last game.
Tiffany Hayes in for Maya Moore. And the foul by Agumake with 1:10 left. Hayes a 76% foul shooter. Gino Auriemma. He is 6-0 in national finals. This is his 25th season at Connecticut. Hayes with a 1-1. 0 for 2 at the line tonight. UConn by 8.
You wonder if she makes this free throw, does Connecticut just extend with a little bit of soft pressure? Yep, come on up, make them use some clock coming up the floor.
He's making 1 of 2, but Maya Moore battles for the rebound and draws the foul. Maya Moore all about heart in the second half. She put this team on her shoulders.
Well, and pursue the basketball. She is so fast and an explosive leaper, just like a Agumake. Does a terrific job pursuing the basketball.
Number 3 on Poland. Stanford wondering what might have been when they had that golden moment of an 8-point lead at the break over Connecticut. Fast approaching, 1 minute left.
You've got to extend to the three-point line if you're Connecticut. All perimeter switches. There they are.
Jones can't get free to shoot a 3. She thought she got fouled there, and now a whistle. With 53 seconds to go. Holmes saying she got hit on that arm or around the hand, but no call there. This foul went against Poland to stop the clock with 53.1 left in the national championship. And Connecticut on the verge of number 7. And 78 consecutive wins. And back-to-back perfect seasons, although highly in doubt after 20 minutes.
Well, they have endured stretches throughout the course of the season. The Big East tournament, they did not play well. And West Virginia and St. John's and teams that are solid on the defensive end made them work, as Stanford did here. But this team, Coach Auriemma's team, for 77 straight have answered every single challenge. And while individuals have struggled, it hasn't impacted the whole.
Murphy trying to drive it, and that'll drop through. 42.8 left. The inbound for Hayes, up ahead for Green, and she's hit by Agumake. Lead again at 7 for Connecticut.
This would be the first single-digit win in the streak, however, if it continues to play in this manner. You wonder if it's a bit more gratifying for Connecticut, the way they had to work against Baylor and the way they've had to work here tonight against Stanford.
Gino Auriemma at practice today was asking members of the media about Stanford. In fact, I think he asked you, do they believe that they can win?
Yeah, just us, because ESPN are the people involved. And Rebecca Lowe, I'm not sure he liked his answer. She said, yes, they do, and I don't think they believed a year ago.
Connecticut 51, Stanford 42. With 39.2 seconds left. John Wooden's UCLA Bruins won 88 in a row from 1971 to 74. That record remains the longest win streak in Division I college basketball history. Notre Dame ended that streak in January of 1974, defeating the Bruins 71-70. And a A win here tonight for Connecticut will be 78 in a row.
And based on what they have coming in the pre-conference, it will be a major challenge for this team to get to that number. Baylor, Duke, Florida State, Oklahoma, all on their home floor. Ohio State, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Pacific, and Stanford. If they're going to get there, they will earn every single piece of it.
UConn makes you believe, though.
Yes.
They certainly did tonight, coming from where they were in the first half. Murphy drives and a miss. Charles tied up by Peterson, draws the foul, 30 seconds to go. Gino Orieva loves San Antonio. It was in the 2002 season when they won the national title right here and finished up 39-0. And they're about to do the same thing here in 2010.
He will move to 7-0 in national championship games. He has yet to be beat when it's all on the line. And what an extraordinary accomplishment for a group of young women over the course of 2 seasons to take on all comers and play not as individuals, but with a commitment to something larger than themselves.
Certainly haven't done it at the line tonight. They're 7 out of 18. That one swished in by Tinkle. Three-pointer with 23.8 to go. Green across midcourt. They can't get to her. Hayes, and a foul on that pass with 16 seconds to go. 51-45. And now for tonight's player of the game, brought to you by Coke Zero. Without question, it's Maya Moore. 22 points, 11 rebounds. And she refused to lose. As bad as Connecticut looked in the first half, Maya Moore was spectacular in the second half.
Well, they gained great strength from the scoring spurt she got out of the gates with in the second half. But make no mistake, this was a team win. Tina Charles' ability to block shots and be a presence defensively. Kelly Farris's ability to step in and play tough and play smart, mistake-free basketball has been a huge part of this. And Caroline Doty's confidence finally kicked in late in the second half, and she makes a couple of big three-pointers.
Moore with 16 second-half points as Hayes goes to the line. And she's added 7 rebounds in the second half. That's that old line about great players play great in big games. Hayes hits that one. And a lead at 7. 52-45 Connecticut. Final 10 seconds of the national championship game as Murphy drives in for a bucket. And Moore will be fouled with 7 seconds to go. And that's what it turned into down the stretch for Stanford. Forced to foul to stop the clock, and they are running out of time.
Tina Charles, Kalena Green playing their final games in Connecticut uniforms will walk off as back-to-back champions.
This will be the first time it has ever been done in women's college basketball. Back-to-back perfect seasons, winning national titles.
So people will see the byproduct of the score, but this is as much about what Connecticut does every single day in practice. They meet the challenges of their opponents and of Coach Oriema.
Well, it wasn't beautiful, but it was perfection. 78-0. Connecticut has won the national championship again. Number 7 for the UConn Huskies. The UConn Huskies 39-0, and they have matched UCLA with back-to-back perfect seasons First time it has ever been done in the history of women's college basketball.
For 2 straight seasons, they have taken on all comers. They have met every single challenge, be it in practice with Coach Auriemma or by their opponent when they step between the lines. And tonight they can rejoice because at Connecticut, it's not about the individual, it's about the collective whole that is UConn basketball.
Gino Auriemma, perfect in national championship games. Just remarkable, 7-0 in the title. But he really earned this one tonight as we go to Rebecca with Coach Auriemma.
Coach, 12 first half points, the fewest in UConn history. What did you say to the team at the half?
To be honest, Rebecca, you know me, I was one of the few times I was speechless. You know, I've never seen anything like it in my life in all my years at Connecticut. We were so out of it that we just talked about slowing everything down, getting a little better movement, getting some better screening, being a little more patient. And then Maya just made some huge shots. It's unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
The whole team's demeanor seemed to change in the second half when Maya started making those shots. How does she impact the team when she's scoring like that?
Well, Maya is obviously the best player that you can think of when you need points. So when she's making shots, the rest of the team feels like, wow, we can accomplish anything. And when she's not making shots, I think there's a lot of pressure on the other kids. And I was worried, too, because the 2 sophomores early on really played like sophomores. And then Caroline came out and just was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I can't say enough about this whole group.
For a lot of this season, you've been carrying the John Wooden book in your man purse. What does it feel like now to be in his company and with these undefeated back-to-back seasons?
There's no company. He has no company. He's a pretty special coach and a special guy, and I'm just thankful for this group of kids because I know how hard they worked and how much they put into this. And I'll tell you what, I think for the first time all year they felt a little bit of pressure tonight. But I'm just happy to be their coach.
All right, Coach, thank you. Now we'll send it over to Holly Rowe with Maya Moore.
Well, Maya, you guys came out. What was going so wrong for you in that first half?
We hadn't run a single play that we practiced since day one. Our offense was completely out of whack, and we were just Stanford did a great job of getting us out of our rhythm, but we responded in the second half. We knew what we had to do. We knew another run was coming, and we settled down, hit some big shots. Tina hit some big shots. I tried to step up and hit big shots, and we're champions.
You came out and you got into your rhythm. How did you find it in the second half?
Just no fear. I think we were tentative in that first half for some reason, and we just had to come out. It was our last half, and we're not letting our seniors go out like that, so we just locked in and played with confidence.
So many people think this streak has been easy for you guys, but the tears you're showing, the emotion you're showing with your teammates, how hard has it been?
It's so hard to be consistent every single day, to come out and practice as hard as we do, and to have everybody talking all kind of just doubt just the whole year and questioning us, and we're just glad we finally got what we've been working for.
Only the UCLA teams of the past have been this successful. When you see people look back on this streak, what do you want them to remember about it?
That you see a group, a program that truly loves the game, that plays their heart out every time they get a chance and have fun doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave.
I think that was a scream of relief. They were tested tonight. 53-47 the final. Gino Auriemma is a champion again. UConn for the 7th time in their program's history, and perfect again.